He would love nothing more than to divide our country based on race, religion, gender, orientation, or immigration status. Because this is the only way he knows he can prevent the solidarity of us working together across all of our differences.
You know, it's really quite interesting how people have tried to manipulate people and how to intimidate people and change their minds. This has been going on since we've been in America. You know, you go back to the days of slavery.
What you're about to see is the exact moment the left's entire narrative starts sweating through its makeup. Then Carson steps up, calm as a Sunday morning, and suddenly the usual playbook. Race baiting, victimhood, and moral lecturing starts falling apart in real time. Democrats love talking about unity, but only if you think like them, vote like them, and never ever step out of line. The second a black conservative refuses to play the victim, they panic. You can almost hear the gears grinding. This isn't just a speech, it's a pressure test. Carson doesn't yell, doesn't rage, doesn't insult. He does something far more dangerous to the left. He explains, with history, with facts, with humor, and with a quiet confidence that says, I don't need your permission to think. That's why this hits so hard. That's why certain members of Congress can't stand him. And that's why this clip still matters. If you want to see how one man completely dismantles identity politics without raising his voice, stick around. Hit like, subscribe, and let's watch the full clip before I give you the full breakdown.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your courage to be here, because in the society that we live in today, it takes a lot of courage to say that you're supporting President Trump. And, you know, it's really quite interesting how people have tried to manipulate people and how to intimidate people and change their minds. This has been going on since we've been in America. You know, you go back to the days of slavery, you know, and in a lot of the states there were more slaves than there were owners. So what did they do? They had to divide the slaves. So they told the ones in the house, you're better than the ones in the yard. And the ones in the yard, you're better than the ones in the field. And then after slavery was over, the light-skinned ones, you're better than the dark-skinned ones. And on it went, trying to divide people. Today, they say, if you are a conservative, then you are somehow an Uncle Tom, you're a horrible person, you're a demon. What a bunch of crap, you know, but, you know, it's been going on for hundreds of years. And it's really time to put a stop to it. So I am very happy to see that you have the courage to come out. You know, it doesn't bother me anymore because, you know, I only worry about what God thinks. I don't worry about what these other people think. But, you know, sometimes people ask me, what happened to you? You changed. I haven't changed. I changed about 35 years ago because, you see, I grew up in Detroit, a bastion of liberalism. They call it progressivism now. They keep changing the name. But anyway, then from there to Boston, a bastion of liberalism. Back to Detroit, and then to New Haven, Connecticut, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Ann Arbor, Michigan, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Baltimore, Maryland, a bastion of liberalism. So I had no chance. I was a liberal. I was way out there. And then I did something that liberals are never supposed to do. I listened to a conservative. I listened to Ronald Reagan. And I said, you know, he doesn't sound like a horrible racist person. He sounds just like my mother. And at that point, I started thinking for myself. And that made a big difference. It made a big difference in my medical career, too. I didn't do what everybody else did. I always started thinking out of the box. How do you solve this problem? And that's the reason that God gave us these complex brains. Your brain has billions and billions of neurons, hundreds of billions of interconnections. It remembers everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard. It can process more than 2 million bits of information in 1 second. Would God give you something like that just so that you can be a sheep and follow what somebody else tells you to do? Or to think for yourself? And Don't you find it fascinating that so many people say the president's a racist? He's a horrible racist and everything he does. Well, it seems to me like some years ago, Jesse Jackson actually gave the president an award in New York City because he opened so many opportunities for black people. Is that what a racist does? And then when he moved to Palm Beach, he was right on the forefront to fighting the clubs who were not admitting Jews and blacks. Does that sound like what a racist would do? He is the one who finally got the Second Chance Act done. Does that sound like what a racist would do? When he took office, he brought the office of HBCUs to the White House so it could get appropriate attention, more money than ever. Opportunity zones so that people could take this money and direct it to the places where people did not have opportunities before. An economy where you have the lowest unemployment rates for black people in history. And it goes on and on and on. Let me tell you something. If he's a racist, he's an awfully bad one. He needs to go get a lesson from the real racists. The people who look at somebody like you and me and they say, because your skin is a certain color, you have to think a certain way. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. And they start calling you names. Those are the real racists. But the president believes that a rising tide lifts all boats. He doesn't believe in identity politics, and that's why he's doing things that work for everybody. And we should be happy about that. And the media, they like to pick on him, any little thing. He's not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. The only one who ever was perfect was Jesus, and they crucified him. So, think about this. And we need to just look at the big picture. Think about all the incredible things that are happening. Think for ourselves and be missionaries. Go out and talk to your family, talk to your friends, help them to realize, because see, if all they're doing is looking at certain media, they don't even know about these things that we just talked about that he has done. And so they can perpetrate this horrible image of him being a bad person. It is absolutely not true. I work with him all the time. He's a wonderful person. He's become a good friend. You remember during the campaign when we were having a debate and I couldn't hear my name. I came out, I stood there, I was waiting to hear everybody else gleefully walk past. He was the only one who stood with me until they straightened it out. That's the kind of person that our president is. He is my friend, and he will be your friend as you get to know him. Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Now let's talk about what just happened, because Ben Carson didn't just speak. He exposed the operating system of the modern left. Calmly, politely, with a smile. And that's what makes it lethal. While Democrats like Ilhan Omar scream about oppression from million-dollar podiums, Carson stands there as living proof that their narrative is busted. A poor kid from Detroit becomes one of the greatest neurosurgeons on earth, serves in a Republican administration, and refuses to call himself a victim. That alone drives the left absolutely insane. Carson nailed it when he explained division as a tool. This isn't new. It's recycled. House slave, field slave, light skin, dark skin, same tactic, different decade. Today, it's vote Democrat or you're a traitor to your race. That's not empowerment. That's political hostage-taking. And the fact that they call black conservatives names for thinking independently tells you everything you need to know about who the real racists are. And the Trump part? Brutal. Carson didn't argue with feelings, he brought receipts. Opportunity zones. HBCU funding. Criminal justice reform. Record low black unemployment. If that's racism, it's the worst racism in human history. The left knows it too, which is why they never debate the results. They just shout louder and hope nobody notices. What scares them about Ben Carson isn't Trump. It's freedom. A black man who thinks for himself, credits God instead of government, and refuses to stay on the mental plantation is the one thing their ideology cannot survive. Because if people realize they don't need the state to save them, the whole power structure collapses. Carson said it best, God didn't give you a brain that powerful just to be a sheep. And watching the left react to that truth is proof that he walked off the plantation a long time ago. And they're still standing at the gate yelling.